After defeating Azimuth and departing Avernus, Kain progresses south on the road to Willendorf. The first area on this path is much the same, although the first gate is closed in contrast to the open gate in Retail. This presumably indicates either an incomplete or missing mechanism to open it. Again, enemy classes vary and are upgraded in Retail. The next area is also similar, although lacking the signposts seen in Retail. It's still possible to continue south to the top of the Lake of Serenity, if you're appropriately powered up. The power-ups down this trail are different, and at the end there's no cave to explore. The Lake of Serenity, by the way, is much the same as Retail in terms of layout. Although there's some noticeable glitching along the north and western shore beneath Avernus. Returning to the main trail, and there's a missing fire pit before the transition to the next area. Again, this area is very similar to retail, although lacking the signposts. One interesting thing to note, however, unlike retail, there are no Willendorf guards. The cave in the northeast leads to the Spirit Wrack dungeon in retail, but it's not connected here. The dungeon can, however, be loaded through the developer's level select, which reveals a totally different dungeon, and it seems that all that was retained into retail was the tile set and theming. The original Spirit Wrack dungeon is much simpler than the one seen in retail. The first room presents Kain with the floor mural and 2 locked doors, with a pit on the right hand side containing several humans, where it's necessary for Kain to use Control Mind to get one of the humans to hit a switch on the far side. This opens a side room, where the human can press another switch, which opens the left locked door at the top of the room. The next room contains the Spirit Wrack spell card, and another locked door.
With this spell I can tear a creature's soul from its body, leaving its vacant flesh mine to control.
Again, a pit containing enemies is positioned nearby, so Kain can use his new spell to possess a lightning spitter demon and take it through the open door to the north, where it can activate a switch, which opens the locked door in front of Kain. The final area of the dungeon repeats the same puzzle, but with a slight twist. Again, Kain has a locked door blocking his path, but this time instead of a pit with enemies, it's a lava field. Kain has to possess the nearby ogre demon to make it activate a switch to open the door. A final small square room confronts Kain with an armed skeleton before he returns to the initial chamber through the now unlocked top door. Returning outside and progressing further down leads us to another familiar map tile that's very similar to its retail successor, bar the absence of signage and guards. The outer Willendorf town settlement can be seen on the left cliff, while the right trail leads up to the Provincial mines. For the moment, we'll head south and explore some of the other bonuses. The cave to the left, as with retail, is the blood fountain for the third strength upgrade.
The blood of ages flows so sweet. Come, drink from us. Your strength has increased, for our blood enhances. Our blood enhances. Our blood preserves. Our blood heals. For the blood is the life.
While the small trail to the right is also the same as retail, in leading to the series of Pentleech of Tarot cards. These are counted as a secret in retail. One interesting phenomena to highlight at this point as well is that although the alpha version of the game is not really counting secrets, in the lead up to Willendorf it will give clicks in the appropriate places.
A medley of death and evisceration. Let fate choose my enemy's demise.
Although nothing is apparent on the status screen. Heading further south takes us to the next tile. Again, the layout is similar, but there are minor changes. Enemies are largely absent, and the cave in the northeast is missing. In retail, it leads to the third blood fountain for magic energy.
The blood of ages flows so sweet. Come, drink from us. Your magic energy recovers more quickly, for our blood enhances.
This area is present in the alpha and can be accessed through the level select, but it's not connected to the game world.
Flows so sweet. Come, drink from us. Your magic energy recovers more quickly, for our blood enhances. Our blood enhances. Our blood preserves. Our blood heals. For the blood is the life.
Reputed to have been ripped from the chest of the greatest vampire to have ever existed, Janos Audron, the Heart of Darkness restores vampiric unlife. It can be used over and over again, but always consumes magical energy from the one who uses it. Life is precious, Janos discovered, as it was torn, throbbing and bleeding from his own body.
The next cave down the trail is present, and this contains the same bonus cave as seen in retail, albeit minus the power-ups and enemies.
Should this object strike an enemy, rot and decay would instantly eat their flesh and leave only a pool of blood and tissue. For a time after, the toxins are still active and therefore lethal to the touch. Of all the methods I employ, this is perhaps the cruelest, causing my victim's body to shrink on itself, crushing bones and rupturing organs till the pressure inside bursts the sack of fleshy skin.
Going further south takes us to the Bat Beacon, and a cave which, as in retail, contains the Slow Time Spirit Forge, although it isn't protected by a moon door here.
Shed your blood for me, and this axe will be yours.
The nearby lake area is much the same.
conjured, the energy bank permits me access to mass amounts of magical energy for a brief period of time. However, when the moment passes, I will be drained of all magic, unable to cast even the simplest of spells.
Returning to the Provincial mines and entering the caves ultimately reveals them as similar to retail. The entrance chamber is different and is a much more square shape, as it lacks the save auto addition seen in retail, but the rest of the areas follow the retail recipe, with only minor deviations, such as different power-ups, the positions of stalactites, the absence of buffers, and on occasion the tracks are longer, or there are barely noticeable alcove differences.
These curious devices hurl bolts of whirling energy and eviscerate my human enemies by stripping ragged flesh from blood-stained bone.
The Beguile blood fountain appears much the
The
same,
blood of ages flows so sweet. Come, drink from us.
but the dialogue for it is not present, resulting in the repetition of the "Our blood enhances"
Our
cut
blood
line.
enhances. Our blood preserves. Our blood heals. For the blood is the life. Our blood enhances. Our blood preserves. Our blood heals. For the blood is the life.
The Beguile form itself is noticeably unstable, and doesn't always function as expected. After the fountain, the dungeon abruptly ends, and it's necessary to backtrack from the outer Willendorf town to play through the last cave area. This shows that it had no save altar, some additional dead-end trails and alcoves, and its end was blocked by stalactites rather than the boulders seen in retail.
Victus! Save Victus! Save Victus!
Emerging from the cave led to Willendorf's outer town area, and while the external layout was the same, bar the missing signage, there was a lot of difference creeping beneath the surface. For starters, all doors in Willendorf town appear to be closed in the Alpha, although they can simply be walked through. For the interiors, there are a multitude of minor changes, usually involving missing beds and barrels, but most have the same or similar layouts. The nearby closed door is actually closed and inaccessible, even to retail.
As daylight chases darkness, the vampire's power wanes.
One interesting change comes in the secret house behind the cliff in the western outer town area. Although a blank room to the left is present in Alpha, that will contain a backdoor teleporter to the slow time Spirit Forge in retail.
The hourglass of Mobius allowed him to sift through the sands of time, giving him dominion over past and future.
After gaining the Beguile spell from the Provincial mines, Kain can enter Willendorf Castle and the walled city within. But as is par for the course, the door isn't connected, and the level select is needed to get inside. Join us next time as we explore the Willendorf Citadel and the expanded Willendorf Tunnel.